Have you ever felt like you were in the environment where everyone was making emotional decisions and in the moment versus leveraging a well-known diddy like BAMCIS in the Marine Corps, which may slow the process down and in the moment maybe just give us a peace of mind like way of thinking. But however, if you remember back in your Marine Corps days or whatever military branch you were in, it ensured strategic mission domination, didn't it? If this is you, this episode is for you, as you'll gain the golden grenades needed to leverage key military philosophy like slow is smooth, smooth is fast, as an active duty ambitious service member that found a problem in a market while serving the United States Marine Corps as a leader, as an officer, a commissioned officer in the Marine Corps, and is now leveraging military concepts to disrupt the sharing economy. Stay tuned.
We look at things long term because that's how we were taught. You gotta rely on the things that you were taught, and the slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Is it sounds like just another like rah 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 type of stuff, but in actuality, It actually works and it makes sense. Another one that I like is it's a marathon and not a sprint. And civilians, in my opinion, sometimes they're always trying to sprint and they never even conditioned for the actual race.
All improvements begin by reconnecting with the ideal. That's a quote by Michael Hyatt. I just want to give a big shout out, Ambitious Vet, to the Michael Hyatt Company and the Full Focus Planner for sponsoring today's episode. Have you ever wanted to achieve more while doing less? Well, if you're like me, you're raising your hand and shaking your head like, hell yeah, I've got a family, I got to, raise, and I've got a marriage to keep healthy, right? Well, if that's you, check the Full Focus Planner out by clicking the link in the show notes below. This is a quarterly planner I personally use and do not go a day without, as I specifically love just mapping out my big three every week and every day. Just making sure, Ambitious Vet, that I am sniper focused for what really matters and what really is going to move the big rocks forward in my life and business. See, it's not like a year and a half ago where I wasn't married and I could spend 12 hours a day building this thing. No, I've got to be efficient with my time. And this is the tool to do so. Check it out by clicking our affiliate link in the show notes below. You really can achieve more by doing less. It is possible, but it starts with the right tools. Click the link in the show notes below and get started today. Welcome to the Ambitious Vet Show. My name is Chris Hoffman. I'm a Marine Corps combat veteran turned social entrepreneur. Here I dive into the trenches with today's most ambitious, goal-oriented, and growth-minded military veterans on the planet to empower you with the golden grenades needed to break through to new levels of satisfaction, fulfillment, and success after career stability has already been figured out. So if you haven't already, Ambitious Vet, grab your pen and paper. It's time to gain the golden grenades needed to break through your fear barriers and live a life of purpose with passion. Let's dive in.
It's time to get into the trenches, dig into your purpose, and fire up your life's fulfillment. The Ambitious Vet Podcast starts now.
What's going on, Ambitious Vet? We are right back inside the trenches. Today we got Major Anthony Gantt on the show. He's a 20-plus year Marine Major, Gold Star recipient, and also At Ease Rentals CEO, which has had a tremendous amount of growth since 2020. Over 600 properties in 8 states, and also 279% times growth since the very beginning of their stuff. The best thing about it is he is an ambitious active duty Marine. Hoorah. And he's a guy that's, not allowing the Marine Corps lifestyle to slow him down on his ambition. So he's going to be well set up when he gets out of the uniform. Major Anthony Gantt, are you there, brother?
I'm here. How are you today, Chris? And thank you for having me on the show.
Man, I am doing good, man. This COVID shot is no joke. And the snowstorm that we just recovered, man, is just like, it's like bullets are shooting and you're bobbing and weaving in combat again. You know what I mean?
I most certainly do. It's 2020 and 2021 have been a very interesting time. I tell my kids that when they're 90, they're going to be telling their grandkids, you kids are soft for that.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, it has been a challenging time, man. But I would just dive into, kind of your background, man. Go ahead and fill the gaps of that introduction, and let us know what kind of lights you up inside the trenches of life right now.
All right, so my background go all the way from there. I was born to my mother and father in 1979 in the city of Miami. So I'm a Miami, Florida resident, born and raised. So this code that you mentioned tore me up. That's one of the things I hate about the Marine Corps is that they put me in places that are Miami, and it snows and it gets below 65. After I finished high school out in 1998, moved up to Tallahassee, Florida, where it was cold. And I was like, this isn't Florida, this is South Georgia or East Alabama. And went to school for a year where I was studying electrical engineering at Florida A&M University in Tallahassee. Now, there's three colleges out there. You got Florida A&M University, you have Florida State, and you have Tallahassee Community College. So most people say it was my partying. I like to attribute it to me not being able to afford any books, which is why I joined the Marine Corps. That's my AKA partying too much. Joined the Marine Corps initially. Thought I was going as an administrator. I think every service member can attest to this. Every vet that whatever the recruiter told you, it's a freaking lie. And mine did too. I ended up getting to tank school to find out that I was a tanker. And then he told me I was going to be a tank mechanic, and I was nowhere near a tank mechanic. I was actually a tanker. So I couldn't get that job at Jiffy Lube that I hoped to get because I went in as a reservist. I was like, if I become a mech, I can work at Jiffy Lube. I can pay for books. Got there, boot camp, MCT, Marine Combat Training, MOS school out of Fort Knox, Kentucky with soldiers, HUA for my Army brothers. And I learned how to be an M1A1 Abrams tank crew member as a driver, then a loader, later gunner, and finally as a tank commander once I got to the fleet. I say all of that because as a reservist, I was like, I don't make as much money as I anticipated. This weekend stuff is for the birds. And I went to my staff sergeant and he's like, hey, Gantt, you always in this unit. I was like, staff sergeant, I need money. He's like, why don't you goddamn go active duty, devil dog? Got the big lip dip. I was like, I don't know, staff sergeant. So he's like, going down to the damn recruit and tell him you want to go active duty. I'll talk to him if you need me to. So I go down and talk to the sergeant, like, hey, Sergeant, that's Corporal Gantt, looking to go active duty. He's like, oh, roger that. I had to go through the MEPS process and do everything again, which was funny because I was supposed to get corporal as a reservist, and they're like, hey, if you go in today, you'll be a lance corporal and it zeroes you out, or you can wait and become a corporal in the reserves, and then I'm gonna go and make activity. I was like, I need money today. It's like, it's my money and I want it now. So I went down to MEPS and went ahead and swore in and became a lance corporal and got sent up to Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, right after 9/11. Which kind of sucked. That was my whole premises of like, I can't be a tanker sitting with the reserves and can't go get no action. It's like, I want to go get me some. But that period, it was, everybody was going. So the recruiters, they say, hey, you can't go to June right now. I spent 10 months on recruiting assistance. I am the luckiest lance corporal in the world. 10 months. Wow. But I was the most worked lance corporal in the world that wasn't deployed. I'll say that because, like I said, most of our brothers and sisters were forward deployed in Kuwait and getting ready to go into Baghdad. And that means you have a staff sergeant, a staff sergeant, a staff sergeant, and a sergeant with one lance corporal. So they wore me out. Yeah.
I bet, man. Every little thing, just, hey, go do that, go do this, go do that. What? Faster, harder.
Yeah, so that sounds like we need to drive these pulleys down to Jacksonville, Florida, which was about 2.5 hours away. And he like, hey, Sergeant Chambers. He was like, let's go again. And I was like,
no, man. I mean, that's great, man. That's a great story. I think all of us can relate to, having someone come into our life and kind of guiding us towards the path that we want, right? You had a clear path. Jiffy Lube, making money for books, X, Y, and Z equals X to the second power, whatever. The formula to success, but it's great. It's great that you got steered in the right direction. And man, 10 months of just being under staff sergeants and sergeants in the Marine Corps, that had to be That'd be fun, but at least you didn't have corporals, man. At least you didn't have the enforcers doing the hey, let's go PT for fun. That was me when I was in the Marine Corps, man. Let's go PT
That
for
became
fun.
me. That became me too. Yeah, you were right about that. So it was a good learning experience. I had to mature real fast, dealing with staff sergeants and sergeants, and the occasional sergeant major that shows up taught me a lot. So I was a little bit more advanced and ahead of my peers when I finally got to the fleet. And then I had the corporals who were like, let's PT for fun. You used to be a reservist. Let's see what you got, reservist. And I'm like, roger that, corporal.
Exactly. Mopping the floor enforcers is what I used to be in the Marine Corps too. So that's great, man. Thanks for breaking that down. I mean, you spent 20 years in the Marine Corps, plus years now, I think, to this date, which is a hell of a long time, brother. But you've also launched a pretty impactful mission called At Ease Rentals while you're still in the United States Marine Corps. So walk us through what led up to starting At Ease Rentals while still, trying to hook and jab inside the Marine Corps for being another Marine. It's Marine 24/7. How do you balance that life, man?
So that's a great question. I got lucky. I was graduating from Expeditionary Warfighter School as a senior captain. I knew I was going to either get sent to the Pentagon because I was in zone for major, or I was going to get sent to some command to fleet up as an operations officer or XO. And I was like, all right, it's time to get the big suck in. Let me figure out where I'm going, talk to the monitor, and see where they're going to send me. And I got orders out of the blue to go to the University of Texas in Austin and serve as a Marine officer instructor because I've shown interest the past two boards that I wanted to do it because I really wanted to pay it forward. I felt that there was a lot of information and things that I didn't get taught when I went through the Marine Enlisted Commission Education Program, MECEP, from staff sergeant to lieutenant, that I was like, man, if I can ever go back to a school and teach some students, both MECEP, prior enlisted, and the new midshipmen, I'm going to pull their head out the rear and tell them what they need to know to take care of Marines and be a better officer. Because I felt I should have had more than just being prior enlisted to be a better officer. So get thrown into that position that I was extremely happy about. Within 30 days, I had to find a place to live. So we decided to buy a house, go down to Austin and look at some properties. Didn't buy anything that we looked at. It ended up buying sight unseen. And it worked out so perfect that it was a 10-day gap between closing and moving into the house until when I had to get here. So we decided to go to Airbnb at Home Away and look at the two sites to figure out where we can get a house that was close to the house we were about to close on and stay there for that temporary time that most folks do when they go to base and they stay in a hotel or around the base at a hotel. And my mind was, if I book it, I'll be good. I'll get reimbursed. So I go to Airbnb, or I should say my wife, she books it. And it's fairly cheap. It was like $99 a day. And my family, I have 6 kids. So we rate between the rate for where we were going, it was like 120, 140. I could have easily got up to $290 a day for my family because that's what I rate. So I was like, if I'm not using this $290, but I'm only using $90, $100, surely the Marine Corps would be good. I'm saving the money. I thought I was being a great Marine, right? I'm saving the Corps some money. And coming to turn in my receipts and get my reimbursement, and PFC, I think she was PFC, a brand new Lance Corporal. I was 18 years at this time. I remember myself as a staff sergeant, so I'm painting that picture. She's like, hey, sir, thank you for your travel vouching and everything. We're going to get you set up. And she's doing the reimbursement request for travel. And she's like, sir, I can't take these receipts. You can't get reimbursed for Airbnb. And explicative, what you're talking about, devil dog, explicative, you better figure that explicative out, right? I don't want to curse on the show, but I wasn't cursing the Marine out. I was talking to the Marine using cuss words. And I could see how frightened her. I was like, all right, devil dog, just go get me your NCO. So Sergeant came over like, hey, sir, how can I help you? I was like, hey, sorry, Marine, brand new, understand. Go ahead and teach her what she needs to know so she can get my reimbursement. And she needs to do this, telling them, like, trying to give them some guidance and like mentor, like, you got to make sure these kids know what they're doing when you don't just throw them to a brand new officer. And then he's like, sir, I think she's right. And I was like, all right, dog, go get me Staff Sergeant. Staff Sergeant came out and said, hey, sir, I can talk to you. Did the class of Staff Sergeant. So he pulled me to the side, like, hey, sir, you effed up. I was like, what? I was like, damn, Stan, how did I mess up because I stayed somewhere? He's like, you can't use Airbnb. I was like, dude, I just used the fucking Uber. Oops, I'm sorry. I used the freaking Uber in DC. You can't tell me I can use an Uber or a Lyft and get reimbursed, but I can't stay at a freaking house off of Airbnb, off of booking.com. And he was like, no, I can't tell you that. And I'm gonna show you an order. So he pulls it up and I'm like, dang, this is stupid. And everyone that's a vet, listen to this. You know, you found an order or a regulation that you said, dang, this is stupid. And this was one of them. And I said, I'm going to do what a good officer does because this is what they taught me. I'm going to change regulations because they always tell you that lie that officers write orders and regulations. We do, but we don't, right? There's some omni god that sits in higher headquarters, DOD, Marine Corps, that writes these things that nobody knows and have never met. And I started writing up saying, well, we need to change this. And they was like, no, we're not going to change it. Then I was causing so much turmoil after they told me to pound sand that I got invited to DC by the GSA for industry day. And I asked my CEO, hey, sir, can I take leave? And he was like, you're not teaching any classes. I don't see why not. It's in the middle of the week, which is kind of weird. I said, I just got to go to DC. I got called, asked me if I can come. I need to go see what they're talking about. I get up there and I'm with GS13, GS14, GS15, directors of DOD travel. I mean, like some high ranking officials. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to tell them my rank. And I'm not going to even tell them I'm in the Marine Corps because I might get trumped up in this room. So I was there as civilian Anthony Gantt, not captain, not major. Like, I'm just me, right? And they're saying all this stuff. They're talking about what they need, how they're trying to fix the problem, how people like me have fall victim to booking off of platforms that aren't mandated or regulated, and losing reimbursement could get reimbursement, but now it throws in that you get page 11, all that kind of crap. So I asked a stupid question.
Page 11.
Yeah, page 11 is an NJPs for stand somewhere, right? It's like
pain in the ass.
Exactly. And I asked a stupid question. I said, hey, if someone built a site that followed the rules and regulations, would you guys allow it? And I was like, yeah, we use bed and breakfasts in Hawaii and bed and breakfasts in Alaska. They would give me all these examples of little mom and pop shops that just not on the site, but have their own little site that follow the rules that they're asking for. And then there was all these corporate housing entities and companies that were in the room with me. And they were like, oh yeah, we do that all the time. You just got to do this, you got to do that. And I was like, I'm going to build a site and it's going to just list all of y'all and all of them. And then I'm going to go find other people that we can list and make this more accessible to active duty, to veterans, to government contractors, to federal employees at large. That's how ideation was born.
Wow. That's a great story. I never knew that was the background story of you taking leave, going to a conference, just stepping out there and walking in as Anthony Gantt, as a civilian. Hey, what's the problems here? And Ambitious Vet, if you're listening to this right now, man, I challenge you to figure out where in life you're seeing a key problem in life, and maybe even inside your organization where you work at right now, and find out where people that are solving those big problems, the decision makers are, and go and just migrate into that mix and just ask questions. Don't even try to be an expert, just ask questions. That's a really awesome point. So yeah, brother, I mean, so what happened next? I mean, it's easy for a crayon eater Marine, right, to think of an idea of a two-sided marketplace, but what's the next step after you have that aha moment? What's the next steps after that?
The next step for me was research and planning and figuring out how to start a business, because I was looking at it from like if I was going to start a barbershop or a restaurant and serve up some more barbecue in Texas. And I was like, okay, business plan. What the hell is a business plan? I started reading. I was like, this looks like an operational order. I'm going to call it an op order. Nice. And then I started looking at some of my fellow vets who were in my ecosystem, in my network, that I was like, didn't this guy start a coffee shop? And I called him up like, hey, Mike, you still doing that coffee thing? He was like, yeah, you want to buy some? I was like, nah, not right now, but I want to know how you started a business. And he was like, yeah, man, you guys don't want to support. What's wrong with you Marines? I was like, I'll buy some damn coffee if you tell me how to do this. So we got on the phone and we started talking. And him and I are good friends, so we bust each other chops all the time.
Yeah.
And then he was like, oh, call other Mike, and then call this guy, call that gal. And I just started noticing that there were more veterans that had startups or small businesses than I realized. And I was like, hey, what do I need to do? They started giving me these links. A real good one that I used was called Vet to CEO. I don't, let me see, I think it's vet2ceo.com or .org. And that website is two Army guys. And what they do is they do parallels between military orders and what you learn and how to start a business. And it just blew my mind away how simple it was. And I was like, oh my God, the military had been training me all this time to be a freaking entrepreneur. And I never knew it. So like you just said to your audience, go find those places and find those problems and find the people who are trying to solve them and just ask questions. And we already do that. And you know what I'm talking about, because Lance Corporal Hoffman and Lance Corporal Gantt, that corporal, that sergeant, like, hey Sergeant, just why are we doing this? Like, because I told you to, or like don't ask questions, just do. And you're like,
yeah, one of those. Yep.
Yeah. So we already know how to ask questions.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. And that's awesome that you just started like diving into your, you get, I guess you could say your fire team, right? Like your homeboys, stuff like that, that have done things in the past or are currently doing things that you want to do. And you never know, that person that you're talking to may not know exactly how to build a business plan, but he may know somebody. So never be afraid to ask for help. So that's great. So, man, I mean, I could unpackage so much just from like one concept that you learned from Vet to CEO. But man, one of the things we talked about a month ago, and Ambitious Vet, if you want to unpackage more of what Anthony Gantt has learned from just that Vet to CEO program, reach out to him. I'll post his LinkedIn connection in the show notes below. However, last time we were talking, brother, you dove into something that gave me a light bulb moment as well. And it was the slogan we all have heard in the military, but never really understood as the dark side, the enlisted guys like me, right? The slow is smooth, smooth is fast, right? Civilians don't like slowing down. You know, they just don't, right? I mean, I've been in the civilian sector now for going on 9 years. And, you know, it's, what have you done for me lately? Come on. What are we doing? Scarcity type stuff. So walk us through how we as ambitious service members and veterans can just leverage these military philosophies, right? Like slow is smooth is fast. So we don't fall victim to the way civilians are making emotional decisions. How can we maintain strategic mission dominance?
That's a great question. And the way I see it is we look at things long term because that's how we were taught. You gotta rely on the things that you were taught, and the slow is smooth is fast is, it sounds like, you know, just another like rah type of stuff, but in actuality it actually works and it makes sense. Another one that I like is it's a marathon and not a sprint. And civilians, in my opinion, sometimes they're always trying to sprint and they never even condition for the actual race. While a marathon, it requires you to be slow and smooth, and which will make you fast and be very methodical in the approach that you take. One of the things in the philosophy that I live off of is, what is the end state? What's the goal? I'll take two examples of companies here in Texas. You have Bumble, who just went IPO, and I guarantee they went really, really fast. And I hope they're going to be a successful company. They got some really great leadership. But I guarantee they went fast. And then you look down the street at Texas Instrument, who's been around for a long time, and it took them about 10 or 12 years to become $1 billion company, unlike Bumble. So they looked at the slow and smooth is fast and became one of those top companies. But you can't go into a school or to a college without a Texas Instrument if you're a STEM major, right? So that shows you the longevity. It shows you that they're here for the long haul. And when someone else comes up with a new app, because remember, there's Tinder, and then there came Bumble. But you don't hear too much about Tinder anymore because Bumble's the new thing. So what's going to be the new thing that replaced that? I find it very hard to find something that's giving me a better calculator. And I'm using Texas Instrument as a calculator example, but they do more than that than the Texas Instrument. Same thing with Dell, who's right down the street from them. It took them a while to be a successful company and grow to this massive organization. So sometimes you're looking at all of the hype because you have shows like Shark Tank and all of this, everything around companies like Facebooks and the Instagrams and the Twitters. But I don't want to be in MySpace. right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to be a Texas Instrument. I want longevity. I want things that's going to last. And the other thing I can say about that is the most people hate when I say this, but I look at the government as a business, a well-ran machine, even though sometimes people think it's not well-ran. And I say, hey, we've been around 200 plus years. I'm going to take that example and I'm going to go off of that. And then when I look at the Marine Corps, I say 240 plus years. I'm going to use that as an example. What does the Marine Corps or what does the Army or what does the Navy do? Can't say Air Force and Coast Guard. They're kind of young, but they've been around for 60, 40 years, give or take on both of them. But looking at how those systems are in place and it keeps them forefront of the adversaries, it keeps them ahead of their peers, and they keep doing things that are successful. And you learned a ton of material to run an organization. The biggest one is leadership.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you how many times I've had peer startup founders who've raised a couple $1 million ask me if I would consider putting my idea on hold so that I can come and be a part of theirs to be a leader in their organization.
Wow.
And that's what a lot of vets don't capitalize on. But you got to actually show it to them and let it resonate to say, hey, I am a leader. I have led folks on. Most people like Corporal, right? Leading 2, 3, 4, 5, 12 people. A lot of people don't. I have a buddy who's been making millions of dollars for the last 15 years. He's never led anyone. He's a very smart guy, but there are just certain things that go with a person who's led and a person who hasn't. So you got to look back on some of the things that you learned as a veteran, as a service member when you were in, and leverage those skills. And a lot of the military philosophies that you do have and have used, you just have to bring them out. A lot of times I think I'm not a vet yet, but from the folks I talk to, they try to distance themselves away from the military as soon as they get out. Now, like, if you distance yourself, cool, but don't distance the things that you learn and the experiences you learn. Use that as leverage and exploit it to your advantage.
That's good. That's good. No, I think because when they uniform and the medals go off and all that, I think a lot of our identity just kind of bleeds out of that. I think our intensity is still there. I feel like a lot of our mission driven stuff is there, but it's almost like when we're getting out, it's like our employers want us not to be so intense, not to be so results driven. And yeah, I can see where that can be somewhat of a trap for a lot of us guys that are, just shit hot Marines or Air Force, Army, just getting out, man, and just being able to not be able to like perform at the level that you want to perform. So you can have that hurry up and wait type lifestyle, right? Execute, come back, chill, play some Call of Duty, and come right back into it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But another thing that I want to mention, you can add on to this if you want, Anthony, but one thing that we were talking about too is that think about it, ambitious vet, when you were going on like a field op, or if you were about to go on the shooting range, you'd get up at 04:30, right? And you'd be on that range probably by 05, just sitting there cold. You got your frog suit on or whatever, just sitting there with your rifle, right? Just sitting there, hurried up, you're waiting. But what's going on during those times, right? I mean, it's probably 05s and above, or officers just planning out the strategic plan so the mission is actually executed flawlessly and violently, right? I think there's a great quote by a General Patton or something like that, where a good plan executed violently is a lot better than a perfect plan executed poorly or something like that next week, right? We've got to execute violently, but making sure that we have the pawns in place. Anthony, is there anything else you'd nail down there before we pivot and sum up the show with some golden grenades?
Yeah, I like how you use that. What I would say in order to deal with the lifestyle, and I'm fortunate to be working at the university. I'm getting a lot of experience with civilians. They do wait to the last minute. Their decision cycle making is very a democratic approach. Like, I'm like, who the hell is the leader? Like, just make a fucking decision and say that's what we're going to do. So I say keep the training that you have where you're waking up at 4:30 and preparing and have all your nuggets ready. So when it's time to execute, you can just go and execute. And that's what I do with the civilians. I'm like, I know they're going to be slow. I just realized that they're gonna wait to the last minute, but that's not gonna be me. I'm gonna have all my stuff prepped and ready. So when I'm sitting in that meeting, or it's time for them to call on me, I'm like, boom, 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 boom. They're just gonna be like, oh my God, you're so amazing. And I'm like, no, it's just I prepared and planned. So, so I'll just say, just do that. Just keep doing you, and just don't be very overt or covert about it. Don't be overt. Don't be that like, I got this, and like rah, rah, rah. Just be like, oh, okay, we good. You know, they're like, man, you're always so relaxed. Yeah, because no one's shooting at me. No drill instructor's yelling at me, or drill sergeant, or whatever you call it in the Navy and the Air Force. Life is good.
Yeah. Yeah. And like the peace of mind comes through proper planning too, and preparing and doing the strategic approach versus, you know, just being emotional about your decision making and where's the next problem to solve immediately, right? We want to be thinking over the next quarter, 2 quarters, you know, seeing variables and getting ahead of those things. So it doesn't cost money, right? It doesn't, you know, cost someone their career or their life in the military or whatever. So that's great. That's great. Is there any like top productivity tip that you would just just spit out right now around potentially that right there as far as better strategic planning?
Yep. Piss poor preparation promotes piss poor performance. Piss poor performance promotes pain.
There it is. Boom. Heard it first. I don't know if they heard it first, but they heard it.
They heard it.
Yeah. So anyways, Anthony, brother, I just want to appreciate your time. And also I want to sum this entire show up with a tradition here, man, which is the 3 golden grenades, man. You can sum up the show with 3 golden grenades that you've already kind of nailed down throughout the show, or just bring in 3 new ones, man. But these are like mindset hacks, productivity hacks, growth hacks, leadership, stuff like that, that's going to help an ambitious vet that's outside of that immediate transition window. Granted, you still are active, but you got a shit ton of wisdom as far as growing a business while managing a major, role within the United States Marine Corps. So what would be 3 golden grenades that you would provide any service member, either if they're transitioned or still in, to keep their life moving forward?
I will go with 3 new nuggets. And one of the golden grenades I would think is connect with others, service members or veterans that are within your space. And if I'm talking in terms of startup and business and doing something in a work environment, for those that are transitioning and already veterans, like I said, a lot of people I've heard have displaced and like don't want nothing with military, but it's very beneficial. It's very healthy for you to have that veteran interaction, regardless of service, because you speak a language that others don't speak. You have a cultural competence of things that others may not relate to. Think about the percentage that we are when we make up the United States. It's like 1% of the country joins the United States military. And then you go, even less of that joins the Marine Corps. Yeah. But it's important, like, just to find those folks who have served. I don't care if I was talking to a guy who served 22 years in the Marine Corps, and he got out and retired the year I was born. And we immediately gravitated and talked and everything else like that. The era doesn't matter. You have a connection and you can help each other, especially if you're in the same industry, whether you're working on projects together or they're a competitor. You're not going to share things of the company or what you're doing, but you will be able to relate to each other. And it just helps you get through the day better and get through whatever you're working on better. Another nugget I would share is learn the organization's why. If you can, go and see why the organization was started. I guarantee there was a pain point at some point along the path, and you read about why that person started it. Like, example, I was reading a recent book and it talked about Johnson & Johnson and how when it was first started, the purpose and the reason why it was started. And they almost lost their way till one of the CEOs came back and put that why back in front. And like when people will walk into the organization, they can see that why right there and understand what they were supposed to be doing within their profession. And I think that's important when you're with a company. Why is this company existing? Well, it's not just to make money, even though it may seem that way. There was a reason that it was started initially. There was a pain point that it wanted to solve. And then the last nugget that I have is do something that brings value and can be monetized to a point to where it's beneficial for you and your organization, or if it's just something that you do to where it can get you to a path to where you can branch out on your own. Because I think a lot of service members, because we are super gung-ho, we have a lot of energy, and we are very determined and have a tenacious beings. Sometimes working in a structured company that's already established with a whole lot of people who outpopulate you in terms of like how you think and how you behave might not be a right fit. So you just might need to go start a company. I think this is the time right now for veterans to start looking at being entrepreneurs because our country needs us. We need people we need people who have integrity. We need people who are going to be fair in transactions and deals. And we need people who aren't just looking to get a dollar. Because most of us that join will attest to this. I think everyone that's a vet listening to this service member, we didn't do it for the money. We did not do it because compared to what you were doing as a corporal with your counterpart, you should have been being paid like way more, but you didn't do it for the money. So when you go out and start your own business and start working with others who have the same mindset and you're helping them elevate their business, you're not doing it for the bottom dollar. You're doing it because it's a good deed or it's a good act, and you're trying to help someone succeed. So I think more veterans, service members that are transitioning, and military spouses too, I won't leave this out, and dependents, because they've all served in some capacity, have a greater propensity to create companies that are good and companies that will last and have sustainability, because they're used to BS, they're used to transition, and they're used to having to adjust on a dime. So those are my nuggets. One, connect with others in your industry that have served, find out that organization's why, and if you need to do something that is important to you and brings value, monetize it and go do your own thing.
Boom. You knocked it out, Anthony Gantt. I love finding the why and having it just in front of you every single day of your life, because if you have that, your emotions will be driven, right? The how will be delivered. It will be realized, right? That's amazing stuff. Anthony, where can an ambitious vet go find out more about what you're doing with At Ease Rentals? If they're looking to, become your newest user around, hey man, I'm not looking to, spend a butt ass money on Airbnb or whatever. How do they get plugged into the At Ease Rentals ecosystem? If it's potential a strategic partner that wants to supply vendor services to you, where can they go find out more about this two-sided marketplace that's taken literally the military community by storm?
Yeah, that's a great question. So where you can find me, LinkedIn, like you said, Chris, you share my LinkedIn with them. Also Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat, Twitter. It's all At Ease Rentals, At Ease Rentals, At Ease Rentals. And for those who are looking to travel, a lot of times somebody said, "Oh, this is only for active duty." Hell no, this is for active duty, reservist, National Guard, retiree, veteran. Like if you served, we want to either work with you as a partner, an affiliate, a referral type of system, or we want you to come and stay with one of the listings that we book. Because I'm gonna have to say I'm an asshole when it comes to choosing the type of inventory that we get on it, because I'm like, nah, man, we had to live in the barracks. I had to live in base housing. You're not bringing crap to my site, right? So I turned a lot of people down. I go inspect. I'm like, what is this? You think because we military want this trash? I had one guy like, calm down. I was like, no, you calm down.
Clean up your kitchen before you listen.
we were arguing. I was like, don't you dare try to give me no inventory in this type of neighborhood and blah, blah, blah. I was like, I know we've been through some stuff, but we're not trying to go through it on vacation or when we transitioning. So I would love for service members and veterans and whatnot to stay with us as we start to build our inventory out. New website will be out in April. Right now, the site is under maintenance, but I would say April time frame, and after that, it's going to be working a lot smoother for folks to book. And in terms of working with us as affiliates, referral personnel, and companies and partners, we have a referral contract where we want to work with other veterans. Basically, if you have a business and you want to tell folks, hey, go use this, here's a code, and we give a percentage of whatever the booking is for other service members. We're working with companies like ID Me, that can do the validation and verify, because I want to make sure you're a vet or you are a family member of a vet, right? So that's important to us. So super happy that we were able to strike a deal with them and signed the contract about a month and a half ago. And right now, that's where the website's at, getting the integration so that can get up and live and we can do the identification. We're working with other male spouse companies. We're working with other veterans. And if they have a product that can help service military during the move or a transition or a veterans moving, we want to talk to you, because right now it's a booking platform for vacation rentals and hotels, but we're looking to help with the move and transition period. Like, there are a lot of resources, like where do I find the realtor? Where do I find the pod or things like that? I just want the resources to be in one place. So that, like, you need to move and you want to make an itinerary like you do for travel. Because I can go on a cruise, I can get a flight, a car, and get on a cruise and go to these islands all in one place from Booking.com, Expedia. But I can't do that when I want to move. I have to go to this site to find somebody can do the carport, and this site for a realtor, and this site for boxes and tape, and this site for the people to pack it. I just want to bring all that into one place, and then also have the ability for people to pick a place where they're going to stay in between transition.
It's a great vision. It's a great vision, brother. I love it. I love it. You've been doing a great job, and you've been pretty much in every accelerator, hooking and jabbing to raise money on this thing, and you've raised a shit ton of money with this thing, but I would never expect anything less from United States Marine. So Anthony Gantt, brother, I just appreciate your time, appreciate your service, and also being an ambitious active duty member in the Marine Corps that's still chasing big dreams while you're serving, brother. I appreciate your time. Thanks for doing the show.
No, thank you, Chris. And the reason I'm doing this is because I love to serve, and I was trying to figure out how can I continue to serve people I love and the country I love. So this is my way of doing it.
The Ambitious Vet is available on all popular podcast platforms. Go to vettrainingcoaching.com to subscribe, rate, and share with fellow vets.
Again, Ambitious Vet, if you haven't already, go into the show notes and click our affiliate link to the full Focus Planner. There, you'll be able to get clear on your goals, decrease your overwhelm, and also just guarantee progress in your life. I use this journal every single day, and I also do an after-action review, which is their weekly review within their journal every single week. And I could not see me growing and progressing as a man, a husband, a brother, a friend, and even a business owner without this journal. So if you haven't already, at least go check it out by clicking our affiliate link in the show notes below. I promise you, this planner will help you focus and achieve more by doing less. Check it out and gain the tool you need to achieve your ambitions in your life, Ambitious Vet.